Hi, okay, so let's do this. I forgot to mention that you can always read the material from the textbook instead of or in addition to watching these videos. So this short video on Module 12, that's going to be page numbers 121 through 132. So that's Module 12, 121 to 132. So feel free to read that instead of or in addition to this video. So let's get started on these terrestrial biomes. There's three big, things that y'all need to be able to do from this module, and that's how do we define terrestrial biomes. We're going to learn how to read climatograms or climate diagrams, and then there's 9 different terrestrial biomes that we're going to actually split up, and y'all are going to help teach the class about your assigned biome. Okay, so terrestrial biomes are defined by what can grow there, the dominant plant growth forms. So a terrestrial biome, by definition, is a geographic region that's characterized by a particular combination of both temperature and precipitation. And so the temperature and precipitation is going to control what can grow there. And so while terrestrial biomes are defined by what plants grow there, aquatic biomes, which we'll do in our next module, is going to be characterized by a particular combination of salinity, like the salt level, the depth, and the water flow. So that's how terrestrial biomes and aquatic biomes are defined differently. Terrestrial by what can grow there, which is determined by climate, like the precipitation and the average annual temperatures. And then aquatic biomes are defined by the salinity, the depth, and the water flow. Here is a map of all the terrestrial biomes, and they're color coordinated. And again, you can see where the equator is. You can see hot pink is going to be our tropical forest. The lime green's tropical rainforest. Those are going to be found near the equator. And you're going to learn how to read these climate diagrams that we'll talk about in just a minute. And on the AP exam, you're going to have to be able to tell which biome the climate diagram comes from by just looking at one. So let's keep going. Here's a climate diagram. You can see that we've got stuff on 3 sides of the graph. Over here on the left, with the red line, it's the average annual temperature in degrees Celsius. And so it shows you the key right here. It's in red, and it's this red line on the diagram, on the chart. And then over here, with the blue line, is the average annual precipitation in blue. And then across the bottom is the months in a year, and they've just got the first letter of each month. And where it's shaded in gray, this is the growing season for that particular biome. So each biome is going to have a distinct climate diagram. They're going to have a certain annual average temperature and average precipitation. Now, what these little clouds are saying, these word clouds, when the precipitation line, this blue line, is above the red temperature line, then plant growth is going to be limited by temperature. And then over here it shows when the blue precipitation line is below the temperature line, then plant growth is going to be limited by precipitation. All right, it'll make sense when we look at some examples. Here's the tundra. So we see that the growing season's pretty short. It's just 4 months, June, July, August, and September. We see that during these months, it's at its highest temperature of the year, at just above, 5 or so degrees Celsius. And then it's got a pretty constant level of average precipitation, which is really low. So it's going to have really low growing vegetation. Like they're not going to have a long growing season, so they're not going to have long to grow. And it's really cold and treeless, low growing vegetation. And you can see up here in the map in blue are the areas of the world that have tundra-like biomes. Okay, and here's another example. We've got the tropical rainforest. We see their growing season. The shaded region is all year shaded. We've got really high precipitation levels at different parts during the year. We've got a lot of precipitation. We've got a pretty consistent temperature. It stays pretty warm all year, so it's really warm. It's got a lot of precipitation, little seasonal variation, and so these forests are going to be highly productive and have several distinctive layers of vegetation. So lots and lots of plant growth, lots of life. Growing season is all year because the precipitation that it gets and the average warm temperatures year-round is just a great growing conditions, great for plants. Okay, so here are the 9 terrestrial biomes. So we go from the tundra all the way down to the subtropical desert. So you need to go ahead and get these listed. We've got the tundra, the boreal forest, temperate rainforest, the temperate seasonal forest, woodlands and shrublands, temperate grassland and cold desert, the tropical rainforest, tropical seasonal forest or the savanna, and then the subtropical desert. And I'm going to go ahead, we're going to have a postcard assignment, and you're going to present your postcard to the class and teach us about your particular terrestrial biome that you were assigned. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you what your biome is and then go over what's included on the postcard. And we'll work on these in class tomorrow, but if you want to go ahead, I don't know, and think about it and get ideas tonight, you can. So I'm just going to go in order by how y'all sit. So for the tundra, we're ladies first. We'll start with Caitlin. The boreal forest, Jake. The temperate rainforest, Russell. The temperate seasonal forest, Mr. Poe. The woodland shrublands, I've got Joshua. Temperate grassland and the cold desert, Nathaniel. The tropical rainforest, Irvin. Tropical seasonal forest and savanna, Casey, and then I'll do the subtropical desert. And I'll have postcards for y'all in class tomorrow, but these are the things that need to be on your postcard. You know, postcards, one side is like a design and the other side is a little note, a letter that you send. So on your postcard somewhere, you're going to need to put the location of your biome on the map, like where is it in the world, what are some of the big cities that we might want to visit if we want to be in this biome. You're going to create a climatogram on your brochure, or on your postcard, not a brochure, postcard. Make a climatogram so it shows the average annual temperature and the average precipitation and the average growing season. You're going to include some plants and animals that could be found there. Also include a food web, like a simple food web that shows some of the interactions between the animals that are found there. And then include some human impacts on your biome. These need to be colorful and have some pictures that you can draw or print them off. And you're going to present it to the class. On the letter side of the postcard, I want you to write a note to someone as if you had visited there and include some important facts about your biome. And it can be a cute little story, but make it factual according to your biome and what we might find there if we visit there. Okay, so I think this is the end of my first flipped lecture. And this was 8 minutes. I'll try to get them shorter next time. See you tomorrow.